Jimmy Butler could be one of the potential stars on the move during the deadline or maybe before the deadline. The Miami Heat are listening to offers for him, and Jimmy Butler's already given out his 3 destinations he would prefer. The 2 Texas teams, Houston Rockets, Dallas Mavericks, and the Golden State Warriors. Now, this is interesting. Jimmy Butler's going to decline his player option and test free agency next season. That's what the report is saying. And Jimmy Butler, $49 million guaranteed right now during this season. It's going to be interesting, making the money situation work and getting a deal done for Jimmy Butler. And he's injury prone. He's known to miss time, but come playoff time, he's your guy. He's as good as it gets. And if some of those Miami Heat teams were healthy, if they weren't dealing with injuries, he would have won a ring by now. In my opinion, he's nicknamed Playoff Jimmy for a reason. So any team that feels like they have a shot this year, he's the guy to get to take them over the hump. And for some of these teams listed, he's the perfect fit for them. But he's 35 years old. I'm interested to see what deals will look like for these 3 teams. I think Houston, their deal will be the best. They have the capital, they have the picks, and they have young talent that they could put in a deal for Miami to say yes to it. And they have the best package. They are the deepest team, so giving pieces away won't kill this team completely. Whereas the Dallas Mavericks, that will ruin their bench potentially. But I think the team out of these potential suitors, that will be the most desperate is the Golden State Warriors. I like Houston's team. I like how they're constructed. I think they should do what, OKC did. They didn't make a move for a star. They didn't use their assets. They didn't get rid of any young pieces. They're just continuing to develop their guys. And in free agency, they added, Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey. And they got Isaiah Hartenstein, a guy that fits in very well with their team, a young player still, making moves like that. They didn't trade for Kevin Durant. They didn't make a move like that. So stay on course. Houston right now, they're 8-6 in clutch games too. Fred VanVleet, if they can get Jimmy Butler by just giving up Dillon Brooks, Fred VanVleet, maybe a Cam Whitmore, if they could get it done with that and the picks, then okay, I like it. Ime Udoka and Jimmy Butler is a great head coach star pairing. I really like that. I just don't want them to get rid of young pieces that they don't have to. So development will be key. Jimmy Butler, adding him to a team that's got young players, got, some guys, a locker room that's in a culture that's already kind of set. It could be an interesting pairing, but I think Houston, if the trade is right, I would do it. But if not, stay the course, stick with the young talent you got. Allow the players to continue to develop and get better. Şengün and Jalen Green, I like the stars they have. They don't have an alpha male star yet. They have a collection of guys. Who knows? One of those guys could take the next steps and become that guy. But adding Jimmy to that mix, a 35-year-old kind of prone star, it changes the course you're going. You're definitely in win now mode, but it changes the course you're going with your team and the path for you. I think Houston, if they did add a Jimmy Butler, they would be a contender. A real good contender, but that deal has to look good. That deal has to make sense. I really like the Golden State Warriors getting Jimmy Butler. I think that's the spot I like the most for Jimmy Butler. Steph Curry is the number 1 option. He's still playing at a high level, still putting up great performances. He looks like the Steph Curry he looks like the Steph Curry we love. He still has some good years of basketball left in him. The shooting stroke looks good. The efficiency, the numbers are still good. He just needs a number 2 option. Buddy Hield looks like that great Klay Thompson replacement, but you add Jimmy Butler in the mix. Defensively, you have a good set of defenders. You have Draymond Green, who's dunking. He looks good. He's not a distraction this season so far. He's still that defensive anchor. Andrew Wiggins on the wing. Gary Payton. Kyle Anderson as a defender that can guard multiple positions. I like the defenders they have on their team. So if you could get Jimmy Butler, just trade pods, maybe Moses Moody, and some picks, I think you could make a really good deal to get Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler getting traded now, when it's a little, the Miami Heat should have traded him a little earlier, when he would have been at his most highest value. But now I wouldn't get rid of Kuminga, but I think it would be a 1-for-1 if I'm getting rid of Kuminga, maybe some picks in there a little too. But pods, if you can get rid of pods and you can get rid of Moses Moody and get Jimmy Butler, I think that's a deal you would take. And if you could keep Kuminga, I really like how that Warriors team shapes up. Really, with wing defenders, you're set. There are some shooters that could be available coming at the trade deadline, but I really like how that Warriors team looks with Jimmy Butler. He adds a piece that they could use. He adds another scorer, another guy. Come playoff time, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler. That duo could be really special. That duo could be really nice. That gets me excited. And defensively, you'll be great. Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, those two alpha male personalities, it's a good winning culture already, I think. And Golden State, you have to maximize Steph Curry still playing at a high level. You have to maximize his window. Then once Steph Curry, you see a decline in his play, you see him getting towards the end of his playing days, then you're like, all right, let's go in a different direction. Let's go in a younger direction. Right now is not the time to not make moves. So I think they're the most desperate team, but they should be the most desperate team. They need to make moves. And right now you're the 5th seed in the playoffs in the West. So, sitting at 14-9, this is a lot better than people expected you to come out earlier on in the season. So this is a good start for you. Get Jimmy Butler in the mix. Add some shooters at the trade deadline that are cheap. Yeah, maybe a Dario Saric becomes available. Some other shooters could, become available. Teams try to tank for Cooper Flag. Make some moves. And Golden State could be really dangerous. A Vucevic would be nice too. Adding a Nikola Vucevic who's having a really good year this year. That's a piece you could add. You have Draymond Green as a defending big. You have the wings. Vucevic in this offense, a guy that's shooting at a high level, averaging 20 a game right now. Add him in the mix with Jimmy Butler. That's the direction. That's something that Golden State could do to help them contend for a championship in the West. Dallas, I think Dallas is an underrated option for Jimmy Butler. I just don't like how much Dallas would have to give up to get Jimmy Butler. Maybe Daniel Gafford, maybe a Jalen Hardy. That is the most reasonable for Dallas to give up, and some picks. Najee Marshall's been playing at a high level. Quentin Grimes, those guys, I wouldn't want to get rid of those guys because those are key reserves for you. PJ Washington, I wouldn't want to give him up. But Derek Lively, you're really going to need him to be big time if you get rid of Gafford, because I like the 1-2 punch between those two guys. When one's coming off the bench and when one's starting in the lineup, I like that. But to get Jimmy Butler, to have a starting three, to have a big three of Jimmy Butler, Kyrie Irving, and Luka Doncic, I really like that. I really like the potential in it. That's a championship big three. Kyrie, Jimmy Butler have a good relationship. Kyrie's somebody that's, clutch. He comes up in the clutch. Luka, he struggles sometimes in, big moments in the playoffs. We saw in the biggest moments, NBA Finals, some playoff series, that Dallas struggled with, toughness, physicality, having playoff experience, and adding Jimmy Butler to this lineup, a closer, a guy that's plays like fucking Michael Jordan in the playoffs. That's exactly what they need. And with the coach like Jason Kidd, him and Jimmy Butler would get along very well, I believe. It would be a great tandem. It would be a great relationship between those two. And he would add toughness into this culture. PJ Washington, Jimmy Butler, Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, and Derek Lively. I like that starting five a lot. Najee Marshall off the bench. I don't know if Klay Thompson is going to be put in that deal for the Miami Heat. I don't know yet. If you can somehow keep Klay Thompson and make things work, that would be ideal. And you're looking at the favorite in the West if they could get Jimmy Butler. So Dallas, Golden State, I really like those two options. I want to see Golden State happen the most. I think that's the most likely because that is a desperate team and they're, looking to get rid of some of the young players, young assets to help, Steph Curry have a shot to win a ring before he retires. So Jimmy and Golden State, I would like to see that. Any of these options I would like to see, but my favorite is Golden State. And Dallas, I think that would be really interesting, just depending on the deal. Houston, I think that would be a good as well, just depending on the deal. So let me know down in the comments which landing spot you would like the most for Jimmy Butler, which one you want to see the most, and which spot gives Jimmy Butler his best opportunity to win a championship ring, his first championship ring. Some people thought the NFC North was going to be the worst division in football this season. They thought it was going to be as bad as the NFC South.